At my husband's funeral, my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Your children will be next if you don't return what he stole. You have 7 days. My hand shook so much that the phone fell to the floor. What would you do in this situation? If you found out that your husband had a dark secret and your family was in danger, how would you deal with it? Tell me in the comments. And if this is your first time here, subscribe to follow this story to the end. My name is Helen, and this is what happened. The Memorial Chapel on Mill Street was packed. David had been well liked. Respected businessman. Church volunteer. Little League coach for 15 years. People kept coming up to me, squeezing my hand, saying things like, "He was a good man, and you must be so proud." I nodded, smiled, played the role of the grieving widow. Then my phone buzzed in my purse. I almost ignored it. But something made me check. Unknown number. Text message. Children will be next if you don't return what he stole. You have 7 days. My vision blurred. The phone slipped from my hands and clattered on the chapel floor. Sarah, my daughter, was beside me instantly. "Mom, you okay?" I couldn't speak. Just pointed at the phone. She picked it up. "Read the message." Her face went white. "What is this? What does this mean?" "I don't know." But even as I said it, something cold settled in my stomach. I looked around the chapel, scanned the faces. Most were familiar. Friends, neighbors, David's business associates. Then I saw him. A man I didn't recognize. Standing in the back, late 50s, maybe 60, watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I tried to make eye contact. He turned and walked out. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Mom, we need to talk now." We left the reception early. Sarah drove me home. Ben, my son, followed in his car. Inside. They sat me down in the living room. David's reading chair sat empty across from me. "What's going on, Mom?" Ben's voice was sharp, angry. Who would threaten us? I showed them the message again. Sarah, always the lawyer, took a photo of it with her own phone. "We need to preserve this evidence." Evidence of what? Dad just died. He didn't steal anything. Ben was pacing now. "We don't know that." Sarah's voice was calm but cold. The voice she used in court. "Sarah, your father was a good man, was he, Mom?" The question hung in the air. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to defend the man I'd been married to for 32 years. But I couldn't. Because I'd started to notice things in the weeks before he died, late night. Phone calls he'd taken his office with the door locked. Documents he'd shred without showing me. The way he'd flinch whenever someone mentioned money. I'd told myself it was work stress. That he was just busy now, sitting in our living room with that message on my phone. I realized how naive I'd been. "We need to search his office," Sarah said. "I'll call the police," Ben added. "No," Sarah's voice was firm. "Not yet. Not until we know what we're dealing with." David's office was on the 2nd floor. I hadn't been in there since he died. Couldn't bear to see his things. Now Sarah was pulling books off shelves. Opening drawers. Checking behind picture frames. "What are you looking for?" "I don't know. Something. Anything." Ben was at the computer, trying passwords. David had always been secretive about his work files. I stood in the doorway, watching them tear apart the life I thought I knew. Then Sarah stopped. She was standing by the built-in bookshelf, running her hands along the wood paneling. "Mom, come here." I walked over. She pressed something, a hidden latch I'd never noticed. The panel swung open. Behind it was a small safe. "Did you know this was here?" I shook my head. 32 years in this house, and I'd never known. Try the combination. Birthdays, anniversary, something he'd remember. Sarah's hands were shaking now. I tried our anniversary. Nothing. Sarah's birthday. Ben's birthday. Nothing. Then, on a hunch, I tried his mother's birthday. The woman who'd raised him alone after his father left. Click. The safe opened. Inside, a flash drive. Stack of offshore banking documents and $50,000 in cash. Ben whistled low. What the hell was Dad into? Sarah grabbed the flash drive. Let's find out. Asterisk Sarah plugged the flash drive into David's computer. One file. Password protected. She tried the same combination from the safe. It worked. The screen filled with spreadsheets, names, dates, dollar amounts. Sarah scrolled through, her face getting paler with each page. Oh, this is bad. Really bad. What is it? Dad was running some kind of investment fund, promising 25 to 30% annual returns. So, Ben leaned over her shoulder. Us. So those returns are impossible without massive risk. And look, she pointed at a column labeled actual returns. He was barely getting 5%. The rest he was paying out from new investors' money. My stomach dropped. A Ponzi scheme. Exactly. Sarah kept scrolling. Over 15 years. Total amount, $2.3 million. The room spun. I sat down hard in David's chair. There has to be a mistake. No mistake, Mom. Look at the names. Marcus Cole, Jennifer Patterson, Robert Chen. All these people gave Dad their money, and my phone buzzed. Same unknown number. Found the safe. Good. You have 5 days. Deposit $500,000 in the indicated account, or your daughter will suffer an accident on her way to work. Sarah read it over my shoulder. We're calling the police now. Detective Miller listened to everything without interrupting. Mid-40s, tired eyes. Wedding ring worn thin. When we finished, he leaned back in his chair. Mrs. Hart, I'm going to be honest with you. Without identifying the sender, there's not much we can do about these messages. What about the threat? They said they'd hurt my daughter. We'll file a report. You can get a restraining order if you identify who's sending them. But right now, it's an anonymous text from a burner phone. Sarah slid the flash drive across the desk. What about the fraud? Can you investigate that? Detective Miller plugged it in, looked at the spreadsheets, whistled low. This is federal. White-collar crime. I can refer it to the FBI, but that takes time. Weeks, maybe months. We don't have months. We have 5 days, he nodded. I understand. My suggestion, hire private security for your daughter. Change her routines. Don't go anywhere alone. That's it. Ben was on his feet now. That's all I can do right now. But I'll push this up the chain. See if we can get forensic analysis on the phone number. We left the station feeling more vulnerable than when we arrived. We need to find out who's sending these messages, Sarah said. Before they make good on their threat. Asterisk Evelyn showed up the next morning, David's sister. Always dressed perfectly. Always with that cold smile. I let her in out of habit. Regretted it immediately. Helen, I heard about the messages. My blood went cold. How did you, small town? People talk. She sat down on the couch without being invited. You found the safe. It wasn't a question. You knew. Course I knew. I've known for years. She said it so casually. Like we were discussing the weather. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? You thought David hung the moon. She wasn't wrong. I'd been blind. Willfully blind. What do you want, Evelyn? I want you to do the right thing. Pay these people back. Before someone gets hurt, I don't have $2 million. Then sell the house. Liquidate the accounts. Whatever it takes, she stood. Smoothed her skirt. If you don't, Helen, you and the kids will pay in other ways. Is that a threat? It's a warning. From someone who actually cares what happens to you. She left. I stood in the empty living room, shaking dots. Sarah came down the stairs. She'd heard everything. I found something. One of the names on that list, Marcus Cole, I looked him up. Asterisk Sarah had her laptop open on the kitchen table. Marcus Cole, age 62. Lost $800,000 in Dad's fund. According to court records, he's 2 months from foreclosure on his house and his business. It's filled up a photo. My stomach dropped. It was the man from the funeral. The one who'd been watching me? That's him. The man I saw at the chapel. Sarah nodded. He's desperate, Mom. His wife has stage 4 cancer. Needs experimental treatment that insurance won't cover. He put everything into Dad's fund because Dad promised him guaranteed returns. How do you know all this? I have contacts at the courthouse, and his foreclosure case is public record. My phone rang. Unknown number. Sarah grabbed my hand. Put it on speaker, I answered. Helen. The voice was male, older, shaking with emotion. You found out who I am, Marcus. I didn't want to threaten anyone. I'm not that kind of man. But I'm out of options. We can talk. We can figure something out for days, Helen. I need at least half of what your husband stole from me, or I lose everything. My house, my business, my wife. The line went dead. Sarah looked at me. We need to meet him, face to face. Are you crazy? Ben had been listening from the doorway. It's not a criminal. He's desperate. There's a difference. Asterisk, that night, we sat around the kitchen table and made a plan. Sarah had printed out all the documents from the safe. The spreadsheet. The offshore accounts. Okay, here's what we know. Dad stole $2.3 million over 15 years. Marcus Cole lost $800,000, but there are 12 other names on this list. 12. I felt sick. 12 families. All of them lost money. Some more than others. Ben paced. So what do? We can't pay everyone back. No, but we can negotiate. I'll reach out to Marcus. Set up a meeting. Public place. Starbucks on Main Street. Tomorrow afternoon. What if he's dangerous? He's not. He's just broken. Sarah looked at me. Mom, you need to hear his story. Understand what Dad did to these people? I nodded. I owed them that much. What about the other investors? I'll start making calls. See if they're organizing. If they've hired a lawyer. Ben grabbed his keys. I'm going with you to that meeting. No, just Mom. If we show up in force, he'll think we're trying to intimidate him. Sarah's right, I said. This is my responsibility. David was my husband. I need to face this. Ben didn't look happy, but he nodded. The next morning, I texted Marcus from a burner phone Sarah had bought. Bucks. Main Street. 2 p.m. Come alone. His response came immediately. I'll be there. Asterisk, I arrived 15 minutes early. Picked a table in the back. Ordered coffee I didn't drink. Marcus walked in at exactly 2 p.m. He looked worse than his photo. Gaunt, exhausted, like he hadn't slept in weeks. He sat down across from me. Didn't order anything. Thank you for coming. I don't have a choice, do I? Marcus, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. He laughed, bitter and broken. Everyone says that. The wife never knows. Tell me what happened. He pulled out a folder, worn and dog-eared. Showed me documents. Your husband came to my business in 2010. Said he ran an investment fund. Low risk, high returns. I was skeptical, but he had references. Other clients? Numbers that looked good. So you invested. $50,000 at first. Got a statement 3 months later showing 20% returns. So I invested more. And more. Over 10 years, I put in $800,000. Everything I had. What happened? Last year, my wife got sick. I tried to pull the money out. David kept stalling. Said there were liquidity issues. Temporary delays. Then he had his heart attack. He pulled out another photo. A woman, thin, bald from chemo. That's Carol, my wife. She needs treatment that costs $200,000. Insurance won't cover it. Experimental, but it's working in trials. His voice broke. I'm going to lose her. Helen, because your husband was a thief. I reached into my bag, pulled out the envelope with the $50,000 in cash from the safe. This is all I have right now. But there's more. I can sell the house, the cabin, liquidate accounts. Marcus stared at the money, hands shaking. This doesn't even cover what I lost. I know, but it's a start, and I'm willing to work out a payment plan, a legal one, with everything in writing. How do I know you'll follow through? Because I don't want my children threatened. And because what David did was wrong. I can't bring back what you lost, but I can try to make it right. He took the envelope, opened it, counted the bills. The house is worth $400,000. The cabin, maybe $150,000. Your retirement accounts, around $200,000. That's $800,000 total. If you sell everything, yes. He looked at me for a long moment. There are 12 other investors, Helen. They're organizing, hiring a lawyer. You can't pay everyone. I know. But you came here anyway, 'cause you're hurting. And my husband caused that. Marcus closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. I didn't want to threaten your daughter. I'm not that person. But I'm desperate. I know. Stood. Pocketed the envelope. You'll hear from my lawyer. We'll work something out. Then he left. I sat there, shaking. Beat 12. The group. 2042-2230. Approximately 250 words. Thomas Brennan's office was downtown. Sterile and efficient. Sarah came with me. Ben wanted to, but Sarah said 3 would be too many. Brennan was younger than I expected. Mid-30s. Sharp suit. Sharper eyes. Mrs. Hart, thank you for coming. Had a conference table set up. Files organized by investor. I represent 8 of your late husband's investors. Total documented losses, $1.52 million. I understand. Do you? Because your husband ran a textbook Ponzi scheme for over a decade. These people trusted him, invested their life savings, retirement funds, college money for their kids. Sarah leaned forward. My mother is willing to negotiate a settlement, but we need realistic expectations. The estate doesn't have $1.5 million. Then you sell everything. House, cabin, cars, liquidate. All accounts. It's maybe $800,000. Total, then that's what we'll take. Distributed proportionally among my clients. I pulled out the spreadsheet. What about the offshore accounts? David had money in the Cayman Islands. Brennan's eyes lit up. How much? According to these documents, around $600,000. That's accessible. I have account numbers, passwords, everything. Brennan sat back. Did mental math? $800,000 domestic plus $600,000 offshore. That's $1.4 million. Not full restitution, but close. And in exchange, Sarah's lawyer voice. No criminal referral. No lawsuit. Clean break. We need it in writing. Course. I'll draft the agreement today. Asterisk. Thomas Brennan's office was downtown. Sterile and efficient. Sarah came with me. Ben wanted to, but Sarah said 3 would be too many. Brennan was younger than I expected. Mid-30s. Sharp suit. Sharper eyes. Mrs. Hart, thank you for coming. Had a conference table set up. Files organized by investor. I represent 8 of your late husband's investors. Total documented losses, $1.52 million. I understand. Do you? Because your husband ran a textbook Ponzi scheme for over a decade. These people trusted him, invested their life savings, retirement funds, college money for their kids. Sarah leaned forward. My mother is willing to negotiate a settlement, but we need realistic expectations. The estate doesn't have one. $0.5 million. Then you sell everything. House, cabin, cars, liquidate. All accounts. That's maybe $800,000. Total, then that's what we'll take. Distributed proportionally among my clients. I pulled out the spreadsheet. What about the offshore accounts? David had money in the Cayman Islands. Brennan's eyes lit up. How much? According to these documents, around $600,000. That's accessible. I have account numbers, passwords, everything. Brennan sat back. Did mental math. $800,000 domestic plus $600,000 offshore. That's $1.4 million. Not full restitution, but close. And in exchange, Sarah's lawyer voice. No criminal referral. No lawsuit. Clean break. We need it in writing. Course. I'll draft the agreement today. Asterisk. That night. I sat in David's office, looked at all the evidence of his double life. I thought about the last conversation we'd had. 2 days before his heart attack, he'd been in the hospital for a routine stress test. Results came back abnormal. Helen, if something happens to me, nothing's going to happen. If it does, I need you to know. The business isn't what you think. What do you mean? Just be careful. There are things I did, things I'm not proud of. I'd thought he was being dramatic, morbid. He did that sometimes. Now I realized he'd been trying to warn me. I opened his desk drawer, found letters handwritten from investors. Dear David, thank you for helping us save for retirement. Dear Mr. Hart, your investment advice changed our lives. David, we couldn't have paid for our daughter's wedding without your help. Lies. All of it built on lies. I gathered the letters, the spreadsheets, the offshore documents. Then I did something I should have done weeks ago. I burned them. Not the evidence Sarah had copies, but the personal things. Photos of David at business dinners. Awards from the Chamber of Commerce. Articles from the local paper calling him Businessman of the Year. All of it. Into the fireplace, I watched it burn. Watched the false narrative turn to *** a week later. We sat in Brennan's office again. This time, there were more people. Representatives from each investor family. Marcus was there. He nodded at me. I nodded back. Brennan laid out the agreement. The estate of David Hart will transfer all domestic assets, house, cabin, vehicles, and bank accounts totaling approximately $800,000 to be liquidated and distributed among the 8 plaintiffs, proportional to their documented losses. Additionally, Sarah added, my mother will transfer the offshore accounts, totaling approximately $600,000, with the same distribution formula. Total restitution. $1.4 million of the $1.52 million lost. What about the remaining $120,000? A woman in the back, Jennifer Patterson, lost $200,000. Forgiven, Brennan said. In exchange, you agree not to pursue criminal referrals or civil suits against Mrs. Hart or her children. They didn't commit the fraud, Marcus said. His voice was stronger now. David did. Murmurs of agreement. One more thing, Sarah said. This agreement is supervised by the county court. Payments will be made through a trustee to ensure transparency. Brennan nodded. All parties agreeable. One by one, they signed. Marcus signed last out when everyone left. He approached me. Thank you, Helen. This doesn't bring back what I lost, but it gives Carol a chance. I'm glad. And I meant it. He left. Sarah and I sat in the empty conference room. It's done, she said. It's done. 3 months later, I stood in the empty house. Everything was packed, sold, gone. The new owners were moving in next week. Young couple, first house. They were excited. I walked through each room one last time. The kitchen, where I'd made breakfast for 32 years. The living room, where we'd watched the kids grow up. The bedroom where David had died in his sleep. All of it memories. Some good. Some poisoned now. Sarah and Ben were waiting outside with the moving truck. Mom, you ready? Sarah called. I took one last look. Then I locked the door. My new apartment was across town. Small, 2 bedrooms. But it was mine. Honest to the kids helped me unpack. Hung pictures. Set up furniture. You okay, Mom? Ben asked. Yeah, I think I am. That night, alone in my new place, I made dinner. Just for me, used the good plates. Lit a candle. Poured wine. For the first time in months, I felt clean. Like I'd washed away the lies and could start fresh. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Proud of you, Mom. Love you. I smiled. Texted back, love you too. Then I sat at my small kitchen table and ate dinner. Alone, but not lonely. Free asterisk. Spring came. I was working part-time now. Tutoring kids in English. Something I'd done before I married David. The money wasn't much, but it was enough. Sarah visited on Sundays. Ben came when he could. One afternoon, there was a knock at my door. Marcus Cole stood there holding a small box. "Helen, hope I'm not intruding?" "Not at all." "Come in." He sat on my couch. Looked around the modest apartment. "Wanted to thank you. The first payment came through last week. Carol started treatment yesterday. That's wonderful." "It is. And I wanted you to have this." Handed me the box. Inside was a small ceramic bird. Hand-painted. Carol made it. Before she got sick. She said to give it to someone who showed courage. I held it carefully. "Thank you." "No, thank you. For doing the right thing." He left. I put the bird on my windowsill, a small reminder that even in the wreckage, something good can grow. That weekend, Sarah came for dinner. I'd made lasagna. Her favorite. "Mom, I have something to tell you." "What is it?" "I've been offered a job. At the Public Defender's Office. White-collar crime division." I smiled. "Because of what happened with your father." "Yeah, I want to help people like Marcus. People who get taken advantage of by guys like Dad. He'd be proud." Twisted as that sounds. Maybe, or maybe he'd be ashamed. Either way, I need to do this. I understand. She reached across the table, took my hand. "You did good, Mom. You could have run, hidden, pretended you didn't know, but you faced it. I didn't have a choice." "Everyone has a choice. You made the right one." We finished dinner, talked about lighter things, work, friends, the future. When she left, I stood at my window, looked out at the street. Small apartment. Modest life. But honest. And for the first time in a long time, I felt proud of who I was. Not David's wife. Not the woman who didn't know, just Helen, starting over. Doing better? A year after David died, I visited his grave. Simple headstone. Just his name and dates. I stood there for a long time, trying to find words. "I don't hate you," I finally said. "I'm angry, disappointed, but I don't hate you. You hurt people. A lot of people. And I'm spending the rest of my life trying to fix that. But I'm okay. The kids are okay. We're building something real." The wind picked up. Birds sang in nearby trees. "I hope you're at peace, wherever you are." I turned and walked away, didn't look back, because the past was done, and the future was mine. Thank you for following this story. If you also discovered difficult secrets about someone you loved, know that rebuilding is possible. Subscribe for more real stories of strength and new beginnings. Take care.